Right, so I think we'll just go ahead and get started. That way we can get through, and if there's any questions or if anyone jumps on after we get started, I'll just make sure to let them into the meeting. So with that, I'll introduce our guest speaker from the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Her name is Lizzy Dawson, and I'll let her give a little introduction on what she does specifically with NRCS, and then she'll hop into her presentation.
Thanks, Amanda. So I am Lizzy. I'm a soil conservationist based out of the Portage Field office in Columbia County. So I generally will be the one that would answer the phone if you called, help you with any of your questions, conservation needs. There's a lot that we do with wetlands and compliance, also practices, but we'll get into a lot more of that here. So I will share my screen. Do this. All right. So this presentation, it'll provide an overview. We'll go through the mission, history, and the programs, as well as some civil rights. I am the Disability Special Emphasis Program Manager on the Civil Rights Committee, and we'll go through that at the end here. So the Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS, it is the technical agency for the USDA. We have 53 offices in the field throughout Wisconsin, and we offer voluntary, technical, as well as financial assistance to farmers and landowners. So the NRCS is committed to helping private landowners care for the land, use it productively, and excel as state for their future. America's working lands produce food and fiber, clean air and water, wildlife, and healthy soils. Farming can be one of the most environmentally compatible uses of the land there is. Through voluntary incentive-based programs, NRCS works directly with farmers and landowners to provide technical assistance. So here's a little history on the agency. In Wisconsin, we didn't have the big dust storms like they did in Oklahoma, but soil erosion and the loss of topsoil, as well as gullies, were destroying the landscape. So our agency was born in 1935, and it was during a time of hardship, as well as desperation, when the very soil that would put food on our tables was blowing in the wind. So as this picture kind of shows, times were a little different, as well as was the technology. But soil erosion was a serious problem in the 1930s. And that's when the nation kind of awakened to this. A man named Hugh Hammond Bennett, who is the founder of our agency, had a lot of good ideas on how to keep the soil on the ground and keep it productive. So it took only 70 years from the time of the first influence of the settlers to the 1930s for traditional farming methods to reduce the land around Coon Valley, Wisconsin, and elsewhere in the state from pristine agricultural land to being almost useless. So we're pretty proud of this fact that Wisconsin was the first site of the erosion control demonstration project in the country. And it was a widely successful project down in the Coon Valley watershed in Vernon County, which again was in 1935. Here's a picture of the CCC Camp. They would have workers come in and help with all these conservation projects. Here is a picture of one of the successful practices and still commonly used. It's from a terrace. So the Coon Creek watershed in Wisconsin was the first large-scale erosion control demonstration site in the nation. It was 22 miles long, 9 miles wide, and it incorporated 92,000 acres over 3 counties. All of that land directly outlet into the Mississippi River. There, the science and art of soil conservation and to protect our lands was born. So highly successful, half the farmers signed up, that was in the first 2 years for conservation plans. The planners went out and met with them in their fields and tried to convince the farmers to sign up, offering them free seed, lime, labor, and telling them over and over and over again that the government would not take their farm just for signing up to be in this cooperative. This is the picture. It's actually named Mansky Ridge. And again, that's the contour strips. So things look a little different today. We don't provide the labor or the seed or lime or anything like that, but the government still would definitely not take the land. But here's a picture of a recent conservation project that was installed of a cattle crossing. And a little fact for you is 70% of the land in the United States is privately owned, and 80% of the land in Wisconsin is privately owned. Everything that the agency does is dictated to us through the Farm Bill. And so the current Farm Bill is passed about every 5 years, depending on how Congress gets to work together. It provides authorization for most of NRCS programs. It provides financial assistance, voluntary programs, education, and outreach. And the current Farm Bill that we are working off of is the 2018 Farm Bill, and it was enacted on December 20th, 2018. This Farm Bill is called the Agricultural Improvement Act, and it's meant to streamline the programs, authorizes funding for those programs, assistance available to all types of farming operations, both size and type, and equal opportunity provider and employer and lender. So in the past few years, there has been a huge growth in funding and accomplishments through the Farm Bill conservation programs. There are tools and incentives to encourage participation. Farmers establish a plan with their conservation goals with Conservation Technical Assistance, or CTA. Then they may be eligible for one or more of the conservation programs. So a few more statistics for you. Those conservation programs have put many thousands of acres, as are listed here, of improvements in environmental quality, water quality, as well as soil quality. And there is over $63 million that was provided to private lands just in the last fiscal year alone. So these numbers are all from fiscal year 20. So let's look at some of the programs that help contribute to that. There are quite a few programs in the agency, but these next two that I'm going to talk to are statewide: the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, or EQIP, and the other one is the Conservation Stewardship Program, or CSP. So the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, in the fiscal year 2020, the NRCS staff established 1,502 contracts, which enrolled 157,571 acres of conservation. It is, again, a voluntary conservation program that promotes agriculture production, forest management, environmental quality to help install or implement structures, agronomic or management conservation practices to protect soil and water quality. Wisconsin's top 5 financial investments, so where the most money went to in 2020, fiscal year 20, are cover crops, woody residue treatment, waste storage facilities, pond ceilings or linings, concrete, and roofs and covers. The top 5 practices in count were cover crops, prescribed grazing, fencing, residue and tillage management or no-till, and forest management plans that are written by a third party. Farmers develop a conservation plan for the acreage affected by their EQIP practices. The conservation practices must meet NRCS standards and specifications, and NRCS evaluates and ranks each application with higher priorities given to different areas or higher resource concerns, and which would provide the most environmental benefits. The other statewide program is the Conservation Stewardship Program. This helps agricultural producers maintain and improve existing conservation systems, as well as adapting additional conservation activities to address priority resource concerns. CSP provides assistance to landowners who practice good stewardship on their land and are willing to take additional steps over the next 5 years. In fiscal year 20, we had 17 grassland conservation initiative contracts, 193 renewal conservation contracts, so it was their second time around, and 339 new CSP contracts for over 238,000 acres enrolled in CSP. So now that we've looked at those two programs, we're going to look at different partnerships and initiatives that have a specific area that they're applicable to. The Regional Conservation Partnership Program, or RCPP, uses partnerships to multiply conservation investment and reach goals on a regional or watershed scale, promoting coordination between partners to deliver assistance to producers and landowners. NRCS provides assistance through partnership agreements and program contracts or easement agreements. NRCS and its partners help producers install, maintain conservation activities in select project areas. Partners leverage RCPP funding in project areas also on the benefits of achieved. RCPP encourages partners to join in the effort with producers to increase the restoration and suitable of the soil, water, wildlife, and related natural resources on the region and watershed scale. Another partnership is the Lake Superior Landscape Restoration Partnership. This is up in northern Wisconsin and it impacts the Lake Superior Basin. So in partnership with the U.S. Forest Service, NRCS provides special funding to help farmers improve farming and livestock operations while improving water quality. The NRCS provides additional funds to help forest landowners improve timber quality and wildlife habitat for deer as well as grouse. The Mississippi River Basin Healthy Watershed Initiative is another example of what we have in the state. NRCS and partners are helping producers in selecting watersheds in the Mississippi River Basin voluntarily implement conservation practices to avoid, control, and trap nutrients in the runoff, as well as improving wildlife habitat and maintaining agricultural productivity. The National Water Quality Initiative is committed to improving impaired waterways throughout the nation. NRCS manages the initiative by making funds available to farmers and forest landowners in the selected watersheds to accomplish needed conservation practices to reduce sediment and nutrient runoff on agricultural lands. The Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, also known as GLRI, along with 11 federal agencies, NRCS supports and participates in this initiative. It is to address the urgent issue in cleaning up the Great Lakes areas of concern that prevent and controlling invasive species, reducing nutrient runoff that contributes to harmful algae blooms, as well as restoring habitat to protected native species. Wisconsin has several farms that participate in a demo farm network to educate other farmers on these conservation practices that are funded through this initiative. Another program that we have is the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program. So both of these are different types of easements. It provides financial and technical assistance to help conserve agricultural lands, wetlands, and their related benefits. So the first one there, the Wetland Reserve Easement, that provides technical and financial assistance directly to private landowners and Indian tribes to restore, protect, and enhance wetlands throughout the purchase of the Wetland Reserve Easement. For acreage owned by an Indian tribe, there are additional enrollment option as a 30-year contract. Otherwise, this would be a perpetual permanent easement. The second option that you see on your screen is the agricultural land easement, and that NRCS provides financial assistance to enable partners for purchasing agricultural land easements that protect the agricultural use and conservation values of the eligible land. In the case of working farms, the program helps farmers and ranchers keep their land in agriculture. The program also protects grazing uses and related conservation values by conserving grasslands, including rangeland, pastureland, and shrubland. So everything that it happens through the NRCS or even with the Farm Service Agency, we have to make sure that our farmers and landowners are in conservation compliance. So that could also include loans, disaster assistance, financial crop insurance programs, as well as the conservation assistance. This conservation compliance is in regards to the highly erodible land and cropland, as well as different wetlands. The purpose of the conservation compliance provides provisions to reduce soil erosion on erosion-prone lands, as well as to protect wetlands. And if you have more questions or want more information on that, if you visit the NRCS website, you can see the 5 steps to conservation compliance to make sure that you meet. Technical assistance, or the CTA that we had talked about earlier, that is when NRCS and its partners provide specific help to the landowner and to address opportunities, concerns, and problems related to the land, the natural resources of that land use, as well as to help the land user make sound natural resource management decisions on all of their land. Some different examples of what that could look like is to maintain and improve private lands and their management, implement better land management technologies, protect and improve water quality and quantity, maintain and improve wildlife and fish habitat, enhance recreational opportunities on the land, maintain and improve aesthetic character of private lands, explore opportunities to diversify agricultural operations, as well as develop a sustainable agricultural system. Something that's available to everybody in the general public is the soil survey. So Web Soil Survey provides soil data and information produced by the Natural Cooperative Soil Survey. It's operated by the NRCS, and it provides access to the largest natural resource information system in the world. NRCS has soils mapped and data available online for more than 95% of the nation's soils, and it's anticipating to have 100% soon. The site is updated and maintained online and is the single authoritative source of the soil survey information. It's an excellent way to find out what your soil properties are if you're trying to figure out why something's happening the way it is, what the water holding capacity is, how prone to soils or to salts it is, or if you're going to build a house or buy a house, it also gives you different information on how prone your basement might be to flooding, or if your land is acceptable to be a helicopter pad. So there's just a wealth of knowledge on that site. Locally led conservation. So there are 72 county land conservation committees and departments throughout the state, and we do a lot of work with them as well. So the county conservation districts or the land and water departments throughout the state and the NRCS work hand in hand on a lot of projects. So here you see a soil pit and a nice sized field day and learning about what they're seeing and the soil health going on down there. So now we have a couple examples of different successes from the field. So every year, every office is asked to write a success story that demonstrates how NRCS has helped a farmer in that county. And these are just 3 examples of the many people out there that have benefited from our programs. Here we have Greg and Karen, and they are cash croppers of 760 acres. Different highlights of their operation includes crop diversity of a multi-species. There's corn, beans, winter wheat, as well as alfalfa in the rotation that incorporates cover crops as well. They do no-till. They're a participant of the Conservation Stewardship program. And through that program, they have utilized slow-release nitrogen sources, drift-reducing technologies for their pesticides. And they are a part of that demo farm that I talked about earlier. Kathy and Carlos, they are a grazing operation. They are beginning farmers. and they have 35 head of beef that they rotate on 59 acres. So NRCS help them implement a rotational grazing plan, all-weather watering system, and fencing through the EQIP program. And they host pasture walks, and they help other people interested in grazing. Dan is also a cash cropper, but he has 800 head dairy as well. He incorporates multi-species cover crops throughout his operation, as well as no-till with some long-term trials of different cover crop types. He's participated in both CSP and EQIP, as well as installed different grass waterways and concrete manure storage on his property. He has also a water quality monitoring system that measures the different sediment and nutrients lost on the field that has helped to collect data. And he is also a participant of the demo farms to help other farmers in the area. Here's a map of Wisconsin that shows where all the offices are located in. Some counties do have shared management for that office. So you might have to drive a little bit to a county. It is noted that sometimes if you have land in multiple counties, if you want to come visit us in NRCS, wherever you report your crops to FSA, that's usually your best office to go to. With that said, if a different office is closer to you and you prefer to work with someone that is closer to your physical location, being a national federal programs, we are able to do that. So nice map to show you where you can get your information from. The state is divided into 4 different areas, and each area has an area office, and then there's one state office down in Madison. So what this would actually look like if you were to come into the office and ask for some assistance or see what we can offer you. We have one-on-one customer service. So we're more than happy to sit down with you to learn about your operation, your goals, what your challenges are, and we love to hear what's working for you. What are your triumphs? And we are able to offer any sort of technical assistance. We would love to help you figure out if a program is right for you, whether that's a federal program through us, or maybe a local, state, or different federal agency would have a program that would fit more towards your goals. We do a lot of on-farm visits. We'll walk around the property with you and just chat. We might give you some ideas, need some help with some plant ID, or if you just want some nice, if you're wondering if you have any resource concerns out there, or if you just want us to come and look at it, we're more than happy to spend a morning or afternoon with you to do that. We want to also understand your goals and visions. This is your property. Many of us have either grown up on farms or have farms of our own or properties of our own, and we very much understand kind of we want this to be your property. This is your property. We want to help that be a reality. So everything is completely voluntary again, as well as confidential. If we're walking around and there might be something that the DNR might not approve of, or maybe you got a notice that something was out of compliance with the DNR and you want assistance fixing that, we're more than happy to help you try to fix that as well. We will help guide you through every step of the way. Sometimes going into a new office can be intimidating, as well as, in addition that we're a federal agency, there's a lot of paperwork. And that gets to be a little intimidating sometimes, but we are here to help you with that. That is a big part of our job. And so whether it's signing up for a program or the contracting, how things are paid out, anything like that, we are here for you every step of the way. And we want to help you find solutions. So those might not always be through NRCS, like I said, but we work with a variety of different agencies and we can help point you in that direction. And with your permission, we could even invite them along to that field visit, whether it's a county person, a DNR person, Fish and Wildlife Service, Pheasants Forever. We have a lot of partners. So here's a list of just a few of our partners. There's the conservation districts, Pheasants Forever, Ducks Unlimited, a lot of local communities, state and federal agencies. The NRCS also has something called Earth Team Volunteers, and anybody is welcome to be one of those. We love to have volunteers work with us. there are even some partners that are co-located in offices with us. So some counties have county staff in the NRCS office. Pheasants Forever, Farmville biologists are in our offices, or Ducks Unlimited. The RC and D employees are also sometimes housed in different offices. So our partners are very close to us, and they really are a major component of helping us get a lot of this work done. I mentioned earlier about civil rights, and I just wanted to share with you the NRCS civil rights mission and vision. So the mission is dedicated to provide management with counsel to create a positive, diverse workforce environment and to make NRCS services available to all people, with a vision of a diverse workforce that, reflecting by the face of Wisconsin, will provide equal opportunity and the quality of service to all customers. And so that's very important to us. And that is what the agency strives to do. We do have some current job opportunities throughout Wisconsin for a soil conservation technician as well as a soil conservationist. So if you or anybody you know is interested in working for the agency, they're open through 7/15/2021. But what the civil rights does is we have a civil rights advisory committee, and that's what I'm a part of. And we meet quarterly to discuss trainings, outreach opportunities, as well as we have a quarterly agency newsletter that we send out and different events throughout the state. And so something else that we do is we make sure that there's reasonable accommodations for everybody, whether you're an employee of the agency or if you are a landowner. We provide education and outreach for civil rights to landowners, different organizations, college and universities, tribal councils, and agency staff, just to name a few. And we are here to help promote a diverse workforce as well as to help bring civil rights into the everyday life. So on the side, on the right side of the screen, you'll see the different special emphasis program managers. And these people are here to help bring awareness to the committee and help everybody's viewpoints be seen from these different groups. So Hispanic, Black, women, disabilities, Island Pacificer, Asian Island Pacificer, American Indian / Alaska Native, veterans, the LGBT community, as well as we have different area representatives that help us get the information out. And so this team that I'm a part of, it's structured so that we can keep all people and situations in mind to assist our customers and their diverse needs. So this is me. This is a slide with my contact information, my email, as well as the phone number. And just some things that I do as a Disability Special Emphasis Program Manager, or CPEM as we are known, is we provide resources to staff to better accommodate them and their own disabilities in their work environment, but also to help them accommodate landowners. So I help provide resources to staff to better understand how to effectively work with people with different disabilities, whether that's hard of hearing, color blindness, if they have a service animal, or maybe a physical disability. And an example of that would be one of my landowners that I work with. He has a physical disability that makes it difficult for him to get into the office. And it could take him up to 30 minutes to get from his car into that front door. And so we've worked it out where whenever he's there, he'll give us a call, whether it's COVID or not, and we meet him out in the parking lot so we can have him sign the paperwork. But that was just one way that he shared with us that would help his experience be better with our agency. So if you do decide to come and work with us, we'd be more than happy to help and assist in any way we can, and share that with the staff if something like that would be helpful to you. We certainly don't want to give you a map that has a color on it where practice would be that maybe you can't see or you can't distinguish different colors, so we can use different hash marks or dots or something like that instead. If you're not comfortable talking to the staff at that office, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you any way that I can. So with that, I have the website here. You can sign up for different email listservs that we have, and additional information can be found on the Wisconsin NRCS website. And thank you very much for having me, Amanda.
Yeah, thanks, Lizzy. I just want to say I appreciate you and NRCS being a partner to Agribility of Wisconsin. And hopefully when we get a little bit closer back to normal and you guys start doing some more field days and we start doing some more in-person stuff, we'll be able to collaborate again.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Again, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at Agribility, or if you have anything specifically for Lizzy, feel free to reach out to her. This webinar has been recorded and it will be put on our website as well as on our social media pages. So watch for that in the coming days. Thanks so much, everyone.